everything can be figured out. And there's a path to the win. It's another one that I always say. There's always a way to get to the win. You just have to figure out what it is, and you have to decide whether you want to take it. In some cases, the win isn't worth the path that you would have to take to get there. The ends doesn't justify the means.
Can you talk about your willingness to put yourself out there and face potential rejection? I mean, you said 21 is how many you sent out to, and they all kind of said no. And I mean, that speaks a lot about your courage and determination. Can you talk a little bit about?
It speaks a little bit about learning through failure, for sure. I believe that, again, I think divine providence is a real thing, and I think that, none of us are perfect. We all are going to make mistakes every day, and I think that, the goal is to make a lot more good choices than mistakes, right? Mm-hmm. And then you succeed. And, I think there's another phrase, fortune favors the bold or something like that. I think that you got to take a chance. If you see something and you carefully contemplate something and understand, what the risks are, what the benefits could be, all of that kind of stuff, and you get to a point where it makes sense, then take the leap and do it. Mm-hmm. Take whatever action it is. And is it going to work every time? No. And if you fail, you dust yourself up, get back up, and you go in a different direction. Mm-hmm. There was a cartoon that I used to tell people who work for me at Baker about where I don't even remember what it was, but it shows this guy who walks into a wall, and instead of turning around, he just keeps on walking, like bumping into the wall. Yeah. And I said, if you go, you got to go in a direction. Mm-hmm. The story is about the guy at one point standing still and not doing anything. Well, then nothing happens. But then he walks and he runs into the wall. Well, okay, now you hit a wall, turn around and go in a different direction.
Just pivot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the business school work for today. But it all comes down to just not giving up, just changing directions until you find the right direction.
And that's kind of what my family did. I mean, we moved here from El Salvador when I was in third grade. They were just looking for a change, and I mean, as a kid, I didn't really think much into it as I do now. Growing up in dirt floors, like the house, that's the way they were set up. I didn't realize the risk they were taking moving here, because that's a very big step. That's very scary, and it's taking big risks and being bold about it. What you're saying it's a big part.
That's obviously they've taught you well. That's a huge move. Mm-hmm. That's your whole life.
Yes.
And so. To get them on your podcast.
I know.
They'll teach you better than me.
No, you got a lot of good stuff that I learned from every interview that I have. I really do.
Cool.
And I watch it 3 or 4 times. I'll be honest, because I take it in a little more as I watch it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
How does it feel? You said, you help create jobs, 2,500 jobs plus. How does it feel to that you're adding to the economy as well as impacting families? I feel like it has to be a little scary, but also very exciting that you're able to do that.
At Juliant, we're with you at every milestone, and your brightest dreams never have to fade. At Juliant, we help you shine. That's brighter banking. Juliant Federal Credit Union.
Yeah, it's not scary at all. Mm-hmm. It's actually pretty much the one reason why I did this.
Yeah.
Because you could see the opportunity, mm-hmm. right? I can look out there and see all this land that's available, and see that we've got roads and utilities and taxiways and runways and good community, all those things. You put it all together. I used to think of it from the perspective of my kids, and my kids. When they grew up, I wanted to make sure there were opportunities for them to, if they wanted to stay here, be able to stay here and be around us.
Yeah.
They probably want to go somewhere else anyway. But, creating those opportunities for the next generations of people who will live in this community, to me, is just I feel really fortunate to be able to be part of that. Mm-hmm. It's really weird, but it's not weird. It's just really, it's amazing. I think it's fun. Mm-hmm.
And in moments of reflection, what values or principles do you hold close and how do you guide them with your decision making?
Yeah, well, I mean, family first, and I've got a wonderful family, and family's always been an important part of my life. It's always been the most important part of my life, and I believe very strongly in balancing your family life with your work life, and my kids and I could probably argue about how well I did that as they were growing up, but I think it was we have a great relationship, but I think it was good. I think also honesty and trust. I strive for people to have trust in me and to believe me, and so as a result, I am pretty straightforward with everything that I do. Mm-hmm. I'm not someone who is who does a lot of I don't know how to even put it, like conniving. I just kind of am right out there.
Yeah.
I think as people see that and they see genuineness, mm-hmm. and that's what I strive for. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, being genuine, people take a note and they see when someone's being genuine.
Well, I think they know that they can trust what they're hearing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important because mm-hmm. to me, it's very often the choice between yes or no. It could be what pushes people into saying, yes, I'm going to give this a try because I trust you. Whereas if they didn't, they might not.
How would you define your mindset when it comes to handling situations and rejection or just to get to the next step?
Yeah, well, I guess I have failed at enough things over my life that I've gotten used to, again, getting back up and just trying again. I've got one of those signs that little quirky sayings that you put on your wall, and it says everything is figure outable. My wife bought that for me for Christmas, I think, one year, because it's something I say all the time that everything can be figured out. And there's a path to the win. It's another one that I always say. There's always a way to get to the win. You just have to figure out what it is, and you have to decide whether you want to take it. Mm-hmm. In some cases, the win isn't worth the path that you would have to take to get there. The ends doesn't justify the means.
How do you decide whether that's the path you want to take?
Well, I think you have to blend a lot of things into it. I mean, it might be ethical decisions. It might be certainly legal decisions, mm-hmm. And in my case, I would look at it from a moralistic and ethical standpoint, of course, a legal standpoint. And if there's some path that takes you off of any of those courses, then you just say, time out, stop. I don't want to do this.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I really want to say thank you for taking time out of your day to do this. It really means a lot.
Sure thing. Thanks for coming out.
Yes, sir. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I appreciate everything you do, and we'll see you next time.